Crew Pros, your single source for high quality, affordable home services. If you are remodeling, repairing, or replacing, Crew Pros are the professionals that can do the job no matter the size. If you are thinking of remodeling your kitchen or bath, needing a new HVAC system, plumbing repairs, flooring, or a complete roof replacement, call Crew Pros. Crew Pros, proud sponsor of the Grizz 901 podcast.
Memphis. Nothing but Memphis. Everywhere we go, it's Memphis. Memphis, Tennessee, the beautiful land in the world.
And I'm thankful for this guy who tweeted and said I don't have that fire in my eyes no more. That game right there was for him. That's what I do. I prove people wrong each and every night, and that's for him right there.
Hi, this is Tom Izzo at Michigan State, and you're listening to Grizz 901.
What up, Grizz Nation, and welcome back to another episode of Grizz 901. We are presented to you by Zach Jaworski State Farm, where they treat you like family. I am your host, Daniel Greer, and today we're coming in here after a disgusting, let's just be honest, a disgusting loss in Minnesota. It was gross. My co-host is currently pouring one out. What's up, Nate?
That's all I got. That's basically sums up the game.
That's literally what I got when we like connected on this before we went live. That's literally what I got. It was awesome.
That was horrible.
Yeah. So all right. So the game. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. It's just there's no beating around the bush. It's the simple fact that this game was just not good. Like there's no way to say that you could pull positives out of this game. I'm not coming on here to be negative. This isn't like the sky is falling, right? I am not worried about this game. This is one of 82. But if we're looking at it, I'm glad games like this happen because I hope it pisses them the F off. I hope it does because they have to be embarrassed. A game like this, just imagine yourself. I don't care what you do. Just think of your passion, whatever your passion is. You, Nate, you listener, whoever, think of your passion and you go out there and absolutely embarrass yourself. What happens the next time? Nate?
I hope someone tells them they need to be embarrassed because they were getting ejected and screaming at the refs at the end of the game. And listen, the refs were brutal. It was a terribly officiated game. But you missed 12 free throws, 13 free throws, 14 free throws. Enough to be winning by 3 points in a game you turned the ball over 23 times. So I don't know if they are embarrassed. If they're blaming the refs for that, I'm embarrassed for them. But that was brutal, dude.
So no. These guys have so much pride. There is 0.0 chance that they're not pissed off. Like, yes, you can blame on the refs, right? You might be irritated and laughing at the refs for being literally comical in a lot of their calls and allowing them to influence the game so much. But when you look at the film, like that's the thing that I always talk about football. Like when you have film work, you don't want to be the one that's presented on the film because 100% these guys are going to watch film. And Taylor Jenkins and his staff are going to show them. Like, literally, look at this. Like, the fact that they had almost 20 turnovers by half was ridiculous. But then they ended with 27 turnovers. Double the Timberwolves.
It was a weird game. It didn't seem like they cared about the game. It didn't seem like Taylor Jenkins cared about the game. And listen, if the Timberwolves were a half-competent team, the biggest takeaway from that is that the Timberwolves are just going to continue to be terrible. Because any competent team would have beat the Grizzlies by 30 points that game. That was as bad as they played. But it just didn't seem like they cared. So, I don't know. I really don't have any takeaways. I'm not worried about the team. I'm not worried about any of it. Tyus is starting to genuinely concern me a little bit. He just hasn't been aggressive. He hasn't taken command of the offense. It's like statistically, yeah, he's struggling a little bit, but I'm not worried about statistics. I'm worried that he's not taking command of the offense when he's on the floor. But obviously without Ja, right? When Ja's on the floor, he's the guy. But Jaren wasn't getting the ball in the post early in that game, and he's being guarded by Kyle Anderson, Austin Rivers, and Tyus didn't have the ball in his hands, but he's the floor general. It's his job to make sure that ball winds up in Jaren's hands, and it didn't. And there's a lot of stuff that this game's a one-off. This game in particular, I'm not worried about, but it seemed to be a trend with Tyus that he is not taking command when he's on the floor, even though he's knocking down some threes. His three ball looks pretty good, but he just doesn't seem to be aggressive or commanding out there, and he needs to be, especially while Bane's out, right? It feels like almost everybody stepped up while Bane's been out, but Tyus has not been one of those guys, which is not what I would have expected. But this game in particular, dude, not much to take away from it. I hope they're embarrassed. I was a little embarrassed, and I was sitting there just trying to pepper spray my eyes so I didn't have to watch anymore about halftime. Just brutal.
That was funny. That one got me. I am a huge Tyus fan, as well as probably most of our listeners, and most of honestly probably everybody. I don't know many people that just do not like Tyus Jones. In all honesty, but this year he has looked different, man. He hasn't had the command of the offense. But the other thing that I see, that he has not just had that floater, and I think that's kind of what gets him in the rhythm. And he had a decent night from the field. And so it's not like he had just, it was just disgusting. But it's the fact that he just was not himself. And he has not looked like himself all year. And I don't know. I don't want to give him a pass. But looking at the second unit, it's always like just a turnstile of who's in, who's out. Like there's no real reasoning to anything. And he doesn't have a creator with him. And that's his issue, in all honesty. He's looked okay at times when he's had a guy like Desmond Bane in there with him. But without him, he is not. And the Grizzlies only went 9 deep tonight. And Tyus played 30 minutes, which is, I think, a problem, personally. I know he was fine, 13 points. But 30 minutes for him is a problem. The problem is Jaren was in foul trouble. That was happening.
Yeah, and who else you going to put out there, right? Again, this game was such a wash. Other than the David Roddy stuff, we'll pretend that's for real, just for my enjoyment tonight. Which actually, Roddy was pretty. Well, I guess he was a plus 13 tonight.
Well, he was brutal early. He was brutal early.
I guess that's what it was.
He was a part of a big run when they came back, which gave him. And I even looked at that myself. Roddy was a part of a big run where he was +1. After I think it was a big run that the Grizzlies had. And so that put him up. He was god awful early on. But in that third, or maybe early the fourth, when he hit those big knockdown shots, I think he had a 7-0 run just himself. Could have been 9-0. I don't remember exactly what it was, but a 7 or 9-0 run just himself for David Roddy. That's big for him personally. And then he had those 2 garbage points that I love, because you know what that did? That let Minnesota not hold a team under 100 points for the whole season so far.
Yeah, I was all about that. When Gobert's trying to block it, I was.
Yeah,
like I said.
I think Roddy's coming into his own a little bit, but his defensive skills are just god awful. Let's just be honest. It's bad.
Yeah, but they're all kind of god awful.
Oh, I agree.
With the rookies,
Konchar,
especially.
Let's talk about Konchar a little bit. All right, so I was in the spaces right before we got in here, and go over there, check them out. Sometimes I can deal with them, sometimes I cannot, and that's the whole reason we kind of started this thing. So you can come through. Feel free to hit us up with some chat and or the YouTube area, and we'll be more than happy to let you kind of be a part of this, answering any questions that you might have. But was listening over there in the spaces, and go make sure you follow them at Spaces Grizzlies on Twitter. Good team over there, good group of guys and gals. But John Konchar was being crucified because he does not hit late shots, clutch time shots. Is that something you see? Because I think throughout the game, you kind of watch and you see a lot of what happens, but in the end of the day, he doesn't hit a lot of fourth quarter shots.
I think I don't think it's as much he can't hit clutch shots. We've seen him hit clutch shots this year.
Right.
I can't remember who it was against, but there's a few different games he hit some late shots. He shouldn't be playing 30 minutes a night. Like, he doesn't need to be playing 25 minutes a night. You know, it's John Conchar is a 15, 17, 20 minute a night guy who can come in gadget moments, right? He can be a part of the rotation and fill in. He's not a guy that you want starting, right? And this is going to be part of it with Bane out. It just is. Yeah. And we've been lucky that it hasn't been, right? Because Jaren's been great. Ja's been great. Adams has been great. Dillon has been great. And so you saw a night where they weren't all not great. They were all bad. And that's just what happens, you know. And part of it is Jaren got a bad whistle too. You know, there's a couple of fouls that you're like, Jaren, don't make those fouls. There's a couple of fouls where you're like, dude, that whistle was just inconsistent all night. And it was inconsistent both ways. I didn't think that the refs were favoring one team versus the other, but Jaren got screwed by that a little bit. So that took him out of a rhythm. Adams just wasn't his game. You know, 8 points, 12 rebounds, but you know, he had a couple of things he probably should have done better.
Well, no, like, yes, everybody could have done something better, but Adams in general shut down Rudy Gobert. And I know the foul situation shut him down as well. And I'll credit Jaren to being a guy who was all over the boards tonight. And that was one thing that I saw with Jaren having 11 boards. That never happened last year. Like, he was not that dominant. And it got him in trouble for a little bit, but Steven Adams, he played 29 minutes, very consistent in his role tonight, where he was able to get control of the boards. And a lot of times, and the reason I took some players that to get rebounds like John Conchar, but also John Morant, is because a lot of what happens in these games is the big guy, which is Steven Adams, takes out their best rebounder, takes him out of the play, such as you're rebounding to push him out of a spot, which allows more rebounds. And so it's a more team rebounding. I think you saw that a lot with Jaren and Conchar. And so that was a good team rebounding effort. So overall, the night was fine. And on the rebounding, you took a guy that normally was actually on Vegas odds of 12.5 rebounds, and they held him to 1. And I took the under. Yeah. I literally woke up dead sleep. Oh, what do the props look like? Oh, 12.5 for Rudy Gobert. I don't even want to look at anything. I don't need to look at stats. I'm just going to hit it, you know, and I hammered it before 6 a.m. Okay. That was my no-brainer hammer of the day. And it was, they do a good job controlling him and keeping him off the boards, even though he kind of got some stupid Q-tip looking dunks late in the game.
Well, listen, all you need to know about this game is the Grizzlies out-rebounded the Timberwolves by 30.
Crazy.
30. And took 2 less shots.
20 offensive rebounds. 20-5. 20-5. Like, I hope people look at this. Like, I am not mad about this loss at all. Like, it happens. Okay. I think we understand losses happen. Yeah. This is a professional loss.
I'm mad I had to watch it. I'm not mad about the game itself. It just is what it is, right? It's just, I'm not super worried about anything. Like I said, I thought Jaren played fine while he was in. Adams did fine. Ja was a little rough. But you're playing David Roddy 25 minutes. You're playing John Conchar 30 minutes. You're playing Tyus Jones 30 minutes. Weirdly, Brandon Clark only played 16 minutes, which I know he had 4 fouls, but
he looked horrible.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where he's a guy that just gets minutes. And of all the games where he was going to not get minutes, I was surprised this was it. I think Brandon looks lost most games when other people look like they're in sync, but everybody was lost this game. So I'm like, hey, why not? Like, it can't be any worse, right? Like, and listen, I love Brandon. It's just one of those things where the game somehow is faster on him than it was last year, it feels like. But listen, it's just a weird game. It was not fun to watch. it is what it is. Wash it, move on.
Yep, no doubt, no doubt. Real quick on the Grizzly player watch, we went 2-2 tonight, and literally we were knocking on the door to go 4-0. We needed one more 3-pointer out of what's his name, Anthony Edwards, and then we needed 2 more rebounds out of Ja. Just didn't fall. Ja had 2 extra rebounds, but the problem is they were tipped out. So the tipper, which is Jaren, a lot of times was actually able to. He gets credit for that, but it was 2 hustle plays from Ja that wasn't rewarded for the rebound, and that's part of it. But now we go 46-31. We're still up 15 on the year. Not too crazy, not too bad. Those are good. I think we had 2 that we hit. We're both plus odds. So in the end of the day, you make money, but good so far. Real quick on this one before we get into other stuff and kind of move on. The Grizz 901 merch. I'm wearing a new shirt. You haven't seen it yet. Looks good. I like it. I like it. It's the new shirt. But new shirt. So go over there, grindcitydesigns.com/Grizz901. grindcitydesigns /Grizz901. If you're here on the podcast, check it out. Get some merch. We're going to have new stuff coming out eventually. All right. Moving forward, let's talk a little bit about what's upcoming and what's on the horizon. You know what I want to talk about the most? Desmond Bain, Zaire Williams. You don't want to talk about them?
Nah, I'm playing. Let's go.
What are your thoughts? Let's give some predictions real quick about when they might be coming back, because we're in the middle of when they should be reevaluated, but also kind of the predictable 4 to 6 weeks for Zaire. We're right in the middle of their 5th week, and then we're also at Desmond Bain. He's already shooting. He's doing warm-ups prior to games. He's been out of the boot for a good minute. He should be reevaluated this week. So any thoughts on getting either one of them back, or any suggestions or predictions?
It's just tough with both. Because they're both odd injuries, right? And not in a super dangerous way, not in a way to worry about into the future, but it's just one of those things where if it's, I know we've heard on Vernon, there's some speculation that it's growing stuff with Zaire. And if it has to do with him growing, there's just no putting a time frame on that. So I would imagine we get an evaluation on both towards the end of the week. We get an update on both by the end of the week on Friday or Saturday. But as far as when they're going to be back, I just don't think there's any telling. Trying to look at the schedule and see. They have back-to-back this weekend, Sunday, Monday. Then they're off Tuesday, Wednesday. Maybe try and bring them back against the Pistons next Friday. But I just don't know. There's no telling the time frame. We won't know until we get an update, and then we can start guessing a little bit if it's positive. If it's negative, we're still in the dark.
Sheesh. Who do you think comes back first?
Bain.
I think so too. And if you look at it, I don't know if anybody else has seen it. I have not seen anything out of our guy Z. I've not seen him warming up at all. I don't know anything about that. And so I'm curious what in the world happens with that. I don't even the slightest have an idea of if anything he's doing. And that's what really worries me, is that if he's not even on the court yet, he's at minimum 2 weeks away. Because you're talking about conditioning back, especially with a knee.
Yeah.
You're conditioning back, and you need at least 2 full hard weeks to get your body back to be able to come in. If not, you're a 10 to 15 minute guy, and that is not what they're going to put him back in for. This Grizzlies team is not going to do that. So I do think Bain is very close. I think we see Bain in this stretch run right here with this next week. I wouldn't doubt if we're seeing him maybe Sunday, and then he has the day off. So he's playing against the Pistons, which would be an easier game. But then you're 4 days away from that, which would be a little bit easier. So I think we're going to see him back. Pistons on the road. Good prediction. Why not?
Makes sense.
All right. What else do you have? What do you have, Nate?
Nothing really, man. Like I said, that game's a bit of a wash. I wasn't on the last podcast because I could not get my technology figured out, but we seem to have a temporary fix going. But I've actually been super encouraged while Bain's been out with how the team's played. I think Jaren has shown some real growth and development. There was a moment early in the game where he caught the ball late in the clock out at the 3-point line, and instead of letting that fly or barreling towards the basket, he turned his back on Kyle Anderson, methodically backed him down, and then used his size to finish. And he's done that a lot since he's been back, and that's huge. That's huge. If he can do that consistently, it's awesome. You know, it's tough when you're getting in foul trouble because then he's going to get nervous about trying to back down a smaller guy and getting physical because the refs weren't letting them get physical that game. But outside of this game and obviously his very first game back, Jaren's been awesome, and it's been a huge reason that the whole Bane thing has sort of flown under the radar. You know, it's been quiet on the Bane front until you get a game like this, and a lot of this because Jaren's been playing so well. DB been playing really well, playing within himself. He hadn't been taking too many crazy shots, and tonight there's obviously a couple of crazy shots, and more so he was just losing the ball left and right. He had like 4 or 5 turnovers, I think. Ja's been awesome. Adams has been great. It's been a good stretch without Bane. It has me feeling that this team is very, very close to being the team to beat in the West once they get Bane back. Because obviously without Ja, this engine doesn't run. Bane brings a whole new element to the game. But always this team has been going as far as Jaren Jackson Jr. will take them. He is the guy that is going to determine what the peak of the Grizzlies is. And if he plays consistently like he has, obviously tonight being a one-off, sky's the limit, man. That is that you have to deal with every different type of offensive threat, and then you have a defensive anchor that is as good as any in the league. You can't ask for much more, man. That you have all the pieces you need. Other than I still think they need a vet. I still think it helps bring in a vet who can really play. But man, it's going to be scary. It's going to be really, really scary. And even tonight, Jaren, like you said, going aggressively getting boards. He was going and getting rebounds tonight, which is really encouraging to see. It's just a lot of great stuff with the team right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there still are some questions to have, in all honesty. But you talk about the starting 5. I have 0 questions about them. I think that you give a guy like John Konchar a 6-man role that he's able to come in and facilitate alongside of the starters, which he already has. He's already a guy who can come in early for Bane and be a guy who can knock down some shots. That would allow, the loop back of Bane going to the second unit early on to help give them some shot creativity, because you're not going to get that from Z and you're not going to get that from Konchar. You're just not. And that's the God honest truth. There's nothing against those guys. That's not in there. They don't have that bag yet. Okay. They have not bought the bag. However expensive that bag is, they have not been able to purchase it. And I'm not sure Konchar will ever be able to purchase it. I'll give
as long as it's not Balenciaga, we'll be okay.
Yeah, I don't even know about that, but I heard don't hang up with those guys.
Yeah, don't. No, they're not safe. Not safe.
Weren't they a part of Kanye?
Who knows, man? Kanye's got his hand in every crazy thing under the sun. If it's a little bit wild, Ye ain't far behind. that's just how it is. But one thing on the bench stuff too is you don't even want Konchar being in that big of a role. The truth is,
he's better than the rest of the guys on the bench.
Zaire will be better than Konchar. The goal was for Zaire to be better than Konchar. Is he gonna be this year? We might have a whole lost season with Zaire. To me, it is. I wasn't gonna say this, and there's a lot of speculation. Listen, quiet doesn't necessarily mean bad. It is odd we have gotten no updates.
Nothing. Well, that's how they are, though. They are very much. They work in the dark over there.
But we haven't had any hints. We haven't had any whispers. Because
the 4 to 6 weeks has come. It's not past the 4 to 6 weeks, right? So we're in the middle of it. So we're starting to hear some more about Z, right? We're starting hearing right now in the 5th week. Okay.
What are we hearing?
Huh?
I hear people asking about it.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is, with this fan base, with the media within the Grizzlies, right? You are giving a timetable, and they're not saying one single word about it, okay, until they reevaluate. They gave us 4 to 6 weeks. Now we're into the 5th week and saying, okay, now the Memphis media will go knock on the door. Excuse me, Taylor. Can we get a word about Zaire? And at this point, they're going to give a word about him, and they'll probably exaggerate how much longer it might be, but more than likely we'll get him back earlier than that. If you don't hear much out of it, if they just say, hey, at this time we don't know, we're just going to say indefinitely. If we hear the indefinitely word, that is a scary time. Before then, I'm good right now. But if I ever hear indefinitely, that's my issue.
Well, and here's why I lean towards the negative with it is with Jaren coming back, and Ja wasn't even out long enough for them to give any kind of hints.
I was right about him,
because he's Superman. Yeah, you were. With Jaren coming back, they were somewhat optimistic. You could hear in tones they were optimistic about what he'd been doing, everything, this and that. And yeah, we're in the 5th week. We're in that time frame, but we're getting towards the end of that time frame.
Oh, I agree.
And nothing at all, which tells me it's not soon. It just tells me it's not soon, and at the end of the day, between however long he's going to be out, plus ramp up, plus the fact he's going to have to almost assuredly relearn what he learned in Summer League, it just could be a bit of a lost season for Zaire. He could be playing catch up for the whole time when he gets back. But all that to say, the goal and the plan and what would have happened if he had not gotten hurt, Zaire would have been the best player outside of Tyus on that bench unit.
Okay. Listen, I'm fine with that. I think they play completely different roles, even though they're very much similar in what they do.
Konchar and Z?
Yeah, Konchar and Zaire. I think that they're very similar in spot-up shooters. Mm-hmm. But Zaire brings a bigger defensive, I guess, anchor to this team. And not an anchor. That's probably the worst thing to say because he's not that good yet. But he brings some height. He brings some defensive ability. And Konchar just does not give us the defensive one-on-one yet. Okay, he's able to rotate and be a scheme defensive player, which unfortunately that's what half the players on our team are. BC, Roddy, Laravia, they're just scheme defensive players. Find them a spot, tell them don't allow them to hit the three, don't let them to shoot the three, and that's what their scheme is. They're going to go and close out. But besides that, they're not going to be a guy who you can defend one-on-one and feel comfortable with it. So, in the end of the day, it is what it is. Let's get into some game predictions. Before we get there, let's hit our sponsor real quick, and that is Zach Jaworski State Farm. They are my insurance provider, and they can be your insurance provider. Go check out my guy, Zach Jaworski State Farm. He actually contacted me this week, and he asked me how it's going. I told him it's very good. So make sure if you are in the mood to just tangle with some insurance, give my guy, Zach, a call. They could save you money, I promise, at 901-459-4227 at ZachInsuresMemphis.com, Z-A-C-H, ZachInsuresMemphis.com. Make sure you let them know that the Grizz 901 team sent you, but go over there, call them, whatever. They're in East Memphis and Collierville both. Make sure you give them a shout and let them know that we sent you over there. All right, let's get into some game predictions. What's so funny?
If they'll insure Daniel, they'll insure anyone. Call Zach Jaworski State Farm.
All right.
I was thinking about Ryan too. Crew Pros.
We'll let you do it next time. I'm fine with that. All right, let's get into some game predictions, a little bit of breakdown of the 76ers, and then we'll get out of here. We're roughly 30 or so minutes into it. So thanks for hanging out with us, and thanks for kind of keeping us a little entertained. Hopefully we're keeping you entertained. We got our feedback from Spotify today. It was really cool.
It was.
Let's read it to you real quick on one of them. I thought it was really cool. Our podcast was in the top 5% most shared globally. So can we give a small, slow clap for our Kiwi people?
Anyone not watching, I'm doing a round of applause.
He is. Listen, So I have some stuff planned. Let's share it real quick. Why not? I have nothing else better to do at the moment. Everybody in my house is sleeping. It's great. But we will get into the breakdown of 76ers. But something I will share is I have some stuff lined up that is revolving around Steven Adams. Okay. This is what got me thinking about this. And so we're going to have some interviews and a lot of stuff that we want to kind of bring, I guess, a little insight to with Steven Adams. And I'm trying to, and if you followed me last year, we were able to have Tom Izzo, Jamie Dixon, Coach John Kaufman, who is at Purdue Fort Wayne. Who else I had? Monica McNutt. The late great Jonathan Sharks, rest in peace, my guy, who passed away earlier this year. But it was really cool to see that our podcast is top 5% most globally shared. And the simple fact is the only reason it's got to be our New Zealand people, our friends, our Kiwis, if you want to call them, Australian, Austria, whatever. I don't know. It doesn't tell me, but it kind of hints at that. So I'm thinking it's that as well, because one of my things I saw gave me an insight to who some of the top countries we've had. And so want to give you all a shout out, but a couple things that we have in store that we're going to have some interviews. And what I like to do is kind of stockpile them and then kind of release them over the holidays of Christmas, because a lot of people are traveling. So what that'll do is that'll give you some traveling podcast, and it'll be more interview related. So what we're going to continue to do is have these post-game shows. It's going to be about the game, but it's going to be about the team in general. It's not going to be about the entire game. Like, we're not breaking down the X's and the O's, guys. We're not that smart, or Nate isn't that smart. So we can't do that every single night. But we're going to also have the other podcast on, Free Basketball, who covers the NBA topics, as well as they're going to break down the matchups that are upcoming for that week. We also have the No Bluffing podcast. I listened to the latest podcast on them actually today. Very good. Those three, the trio, do a very good job of giving you a little bit of everything, honestly. And it's kind of from a fan perspective. I'd say we're the more, and then they should not take the offense to this. I feel like this is the more educated fan take, which is a little bit of in-depth analysis, some fanship to it, a breakdown, and they give you more of the full fan. And I love that part of it. But we're going to give you some Grizz 901 interviews. And so I already have Jamie Dixon from TCU lined up. Last year we did it about Desmond Bain. He gave us the funny thing, the story about Desmond Bain being his nickname was the Honey Bun. And that was pretty funny, caught on. And that was because he literally ate 3 honey buns a day, he said. And he was not overweight, but he was just thick. He wasn't like cut. And so I thought that was funny. But we're also going to interview Coach John Kaufman from Purdue Fort Wayne again. So if you are a Jitty fan, we will have his college coach who loves that man. I asked him, hey, when can you do it? What are your thoughts on it? Do you have a free time? Is finals week good, like always? And he said, finals week is actually great. These are the dates. Let me know. But if you need me before, anything for John, whatever you need. Dude, it's so awesome. Literally, his thing is anything for John. So that dude will do anything for Jitty. But all right, we have some more. I'll stop there. Those are my two teasers. But we will have more. And if you have somebody you want to hear from, by all means, hit me up. I promise you, I will do everything in my power to get them. People thought I couldn't get Tom Izzo. I got him.
I don't know how.
Guess what? I have his cell phone number. I can get him anytime I want.
Don't
okay,
say
maybe
that.
not anytime I want. All right, I can get him again. I'm waiting for Jaron to come back, and I'm waiting for them to kind of slow down their season a little bit before I bother Coach Tom Izzo again. But I promise you, if there's somebody you want to hear from, a coach about one of our players, former college coach, somebody, I promise you we will get them. I have one up my sleeve that I think it's a slam dunk. It's gonna get him. Don't worry. All right, let's get into the game predictions. Let's bring Nate back into this. Nate, 76ers are here on Friday, 7 o'clock. What are your thoughts on them?
I think they're really good. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. But I feel like typically what kills, well, I guess the Grizzlies in general, but what has killed them against the 76ers specifically is that random guard. And right now, I don't feel like they have that. I feel like usually it's a Maxey that kills us, or, maybe a Shake Milton has, I know, gone off against the Grizz in the past, but when it's mainly Shake Milton as your guard play and mainly the Anthony Melton as your guard play, I don't think that the Sixers bigs, as long as our bigs can stay in the game and keep up, are going to be able to punish the Grizzlies enough. And I think the Grizzlies win by 7 or 8.
Nice. Yeah. So Maxey, I believe, is still out. I think James Harden is still out, but I thought that they said that he could be coming back. I don't know if that's our game, but he did not play tonight. Neither did Maxey. I don't know. I have not actually done any film work or any kind of studying on them at all. But it says now Tobias Harris is day to day, but he played tonight. So I don't know if he went out early. They lost big time.
Yeah, they got
what
crushed.
Was it? They lost big time to Cleveland, 113-85. And Embiid he did not play well. But you're talking about Shake Milton, DeAnthony Melton alongside Tobias Harris and PJ Tucker. That just isn't good when you surround that around Embiid. They are going to be good defensively. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Very good defensively. The thing is, the Grizzlies should score over 100 points. They're not going to have 27 turnovers. Okay, it's not going to happen again.
If it does, you will not catch me on the post game. There's zero chance.
So does DeAnthony Melton get a video when he comes back?
Probably. I think he does.
I think he does too. I think he will, and honestly, he deserves it. Like, the guy has been a very integral part of this team. But I'm curious, what kind of DeAnthony Melton do we get? Do you think he's going to throw haymakers?
I bet he gets on a heater.
You think he does?
I think he does. I bet he gets on a heater. Because it's always a random guard that gets on a heater, and who better than DeAnthony Melton? Always a random guard against the Grizzlies. I bet he gets on a heater.
He's guarding Ja. Has to be. He's going to be guarding.
He'll guard Ja, and it won't go well.
Okay.
That's not going to go well for DeAnthony. I bet he gets on an offensive heater.
No, that's fine. And he's played well. So when he was on the bench, and this is going back to gambling because everything always does in a sense, dude, I was all over him for his unders because they were so high from coming from the Grizzlies. They were so high, and he could not figure out his path until one day he did, and then he went off. And a lot of it's been because of James Harden's been gone. So honestly, I don't think they scare me that much because I think we match up well against them. The only problem is if Embiid wants to pull Steven Adams out, he can. And that's the thing I'm going to look at is what can Joel Embiid do? Can he step out and actually be a big part of their offense and shoot a good amount of threes? Looking back at November, he hit 2 3-pointers twice. Okay, that's not going to kill you. He had to go 2 of 4 and 2 of 6. Okay, so that's not going to kill you. And then looking at what is this? October, he only hit 2 3-pointers once and went 2 of 4. So just looking at that, what I would say is feel free to shoot them. Unless he goes off and goes for 4 of 7. That's the only thing that really worries me is if he steps out there and says, Steven Adams is not going to guard me and I can hit these wide open 3-pointer shots and goes 4 of 7. That's the only thing that worries me. I think that we are big enough with Jaren, but also Steven Adams, that I feel comfortable guarding a guy like Embiid.
Yeah, and the name of the game is going to be slow closeout. The Grizz, and that's what worries me is the Grizz are so committed to running people off the line. Well, other than when they leave them wide open, that they might try and hard close out on Embiid and just don't. If he starts knocking him down, worst case scenario, if he knocks him down, put Jaren on Embiid and let Adams go guard PJ Tucker, who takes 1 shot every 3 games. Do that. And if PJ Tucker starts knocking down shots, then and balls out of Embiid's hands. There's a lot of ways that you can go beat them. I think making Embiid be a shooter is 100% a good game plan. And if he's knocking him down, make PJ Tucker be a shooter, right? A lot of different ways to go about that.
Yeah. Looking at the stats real quick. I'm looking for Philadelphia at the moment. So what would you say on NBA team 3-pointers made per game? Where do you think the Grizzlies rank in that?
3-pointers made per game?
Yeah.
Oof. How long's Bane been out?
I think it's his 8th game, I believe.
8th game? I think that's enough. 17th.
Okay. Where do you think Philly's ranked?
3-pointers
I'll give you a
per
hint.
game.
They're not far from each other.
I'd say Philly is 19th.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you got the right order right. So Memphis is the 9th ranked with 12.5. And Philly's
Really?
Philly is 13th with 12.1. There's a lot of bad shooting 3-point teams. I promise you. I don't think people realize that. When you look around the league a little bit, you start seeing a lot of the rest of the league and you go, okay, maybe it's not as bad. There's a reason we're up at the top is because we are hitting some 3-pointers, even though it doesn't look like it half the time. I think we get on some good games. And so
You're telling me the Grizzlies, without Desmond Bane for 2 weeks out of a 6-week season, are top 10 in 3-point shooting? And we're mad about something? Dude,
yeah. Well,
that Minnesota game doesn't
that's
bother
just
me at all
made.
anymore.
That's just made. I didn't
Don't
say.
even matter. Doesn't even matter, Daniel. The
Let's
fact
look
that
at-
they can even
Hey.
make any.
36.3%, number 12 in 3-point percentage.
Hey,
That's great.
bottoms,
I don't even
buckets,
I don't even
Justin
need to
Tucker.
look. I don't even need to look.
good from
I don't even need
63.
to look. Yeah, I'm not even, I don't even care about attempts. I don't care at all. I think that I think the Grizzlies match up with a team like this, especially as currently constructed. If Harden comes back, that worries me a little. Not as much because I don't think James Harden's the player he used to be. Tyrese Maxey worries me. Maxey is a guy who can get his shot whenever he wants it.
That guy's
But at the end of the day, I think we'll have players that can guard pretty well. I think these guys are okay if you leave them open. They're good enough NBA players. If you leave them open, they're going to hit their shots. Okay, you just can't close out too fast, like you said. If it's a controlled close, you're good. Like they're going to hit them, and that's fine. But you can't completely overemphasize your closeout, and that's going to be the biggest thing I think.
Yeah, I saw something just a second ago. I looked it up. A report said they think they're targeting a return against Houston on Monday for James Harden. So they're thinking he won't play. And yeah, I think without Harden, without Maxey, Grizzlies should beat this team. If I didn't have the bad taste in my mouth of the game I just had to watch, then I would unquestionably think that the Grizzlies were going to win by close to double digits. And if they had Bane back, then no doubt in my mind as well. But as is, I say Grizzlies by 7. Grizz by 7.
Grizz by 7. Wow. I want to see. I'm currently looking real quick before we get out of here. I'm going to look and see if they've released lines yet. They have not released them yet. I think what you're going to get is you're going to get the Grizzlies, the 3-point favorite at home, just because it's 3 points. You have Embiid back. They just came off a bad loss. The Grizzlies came off a bad loss. I do think that the line's going to be closer to Grizzlies by 3 or 3.5, if I had to guess, because of the home bump is the only reason you're getting that. And at that point, it's really a pick'em game.
I think spread.
And so, yeah, I think I take the Grizzlies. Grizzlies at home after a loss like that, I believe you're going to have a team that's going to play well. But honestly, it's going to be a close game. So that line, that if you're playing the line, it's going to be tough because that game could come down to a last-second shot. It could. So just be careful of that. All right, anything else that you have, Nate?
One bright side from tonight. One Grizzly shot 100% from the free throw line. Do you know who it was?
Jaren Jackson Jr.?
Steven Adams shot 100% from the free throw line tonight.
Have you seen what he's doing? You have not heard or seen what he's doing now? That
He's trying to bank it in?
No. He's closing one eye.
Is he really?
Yes.
Whatever it takes, dude. Whatever it takes. Listen, he had that 3. That was everything but the bottom of the net. So I wanted that
looked good.
3 so bad. If that 3
Point
goes in,
four,
Grizzlies win the game.
dude. I would be down with him taking 1 a game.
I don't know. Listen, I so badly want him to make one this year, but I don't know if I want him getting too many attempts.
Shoot
up.
it, baby. Shoot it, Steve. Why not,
it's as good. I'd rather him take him to BC.
God, yeah, that shot's broken.
Hey, my guy David Roddy knocking down trays tonight. Listen, there's some good stuff to take away from tonight. I just wish I could forget the rest. Instead, it's going to be burned into my brain for a week or so.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope that honestly you're enjoying it with us. We're having a blast, and we're trying to keep adjusting, changing things up, and just kind of going with the flow and kind of giving you as much content as possible, because it has honestly it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to mention, I completely forgot about this till now, but I want to make sure I give a shout out to all my Grizz lead guys, still putting out a bunch of content. We have a bunch of stuff locked and loaded and ready to go. So had some meetings today, some really cool stuff going to come out from a lot of different angles, some that are very scientific and I don't understand, but it's going to be some cool stuff. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Keep checking out the articles as well. Having a lot of fun writing them, and the guys have been working really, really hard on some good stuff for you guys. So
all right,
we'll keep them coming.
All right. Who's the scientific one? We don't have that in our group. Who is that?
Yes, we do. It's a quiet one.
Luke?
No.
Huh?
I said the quiet one.
Oh,
quiet one.
Andrew?
It's Andrew, baby. He's got a background in biology, so he's got some cool stuff coming. Yeah. His whole family is all doctors. His uncle is my doctor. So they got a lot of smart brains in that family.
Okay, so we do have a brainiac. He's just he's the quiet one of our group. He you know what they say, speak less, listen more. At least that's what my wife tells me. But anyway, I'm excited. I don't know what other day we're gonna have another post game show, because the next games are kind of Friday and then the weekend a little bit. But we will try to do what we can. If I'm not on here, maybe one of the guys steps up and is able to do it as well. I just don't know my schedule going into weekends with kiddos and with family and everything. There's always something. I swear, me and my wife always sit down and we do our monthly calendar, and we've already done ours. We have it already set. And she goes, well, we're busy on the weekends. And literally we have something every Friday or Saturday Sunday for the month of December. It's hilarious, but we'll see. But we'll try our best. We'll try to get on here if we can, and give it a little bit more content, break down some games. But besides that, I think we're gonna kind of keep mowing through December for sure.
Yeah, I know how you feel, man. I have to go skiing and get Irish coffees every weekend, so it's
I hate
packed weekends. Listen, I get one benefit of living in this state. One. Do not try and kill my joy here. I don't understand that, chat, but let's move on. With that, chat, let's go ahead and move on.
All right, we finally got our first bot.
We have hot girls here. They incorrect. Everybody, check out the YouTube feed and you'll see just how much there aren't hot girls here. So
yeah, that was awesome. Our first bot. That was pretty fun. That was pretty funny. Like we'll have
good times.
We'll have plenty more. All right, that's all we got. Honestly, I'm so geared up for this year and this team. We're 12-9. Honestly, the sky seems to be falling with some Grizzlies fans. It is not here. It will never be falling here. I don't care how dark it gets. We will make sure we shine the light as much as we can and break down the games. This team is fully loaded, man. They have a lot of weaknesses, but they also have so many strengths. And so I'm excited about the direction this team is going. One bad night, as they say, one bad apple will not spoil the whole bunch, or it will. It will. Okay, so let's not use that. Don't use that. Not one bad night is going to spoil our season, baby.
There we go.
Let's get out of here. Be nice and tell your friends.